Welcome back. So, today I wanted to discuss a concept for a squad. I've been sort of, testing it out with one of the only squads in the game that I feel can really do what I was thinking. And essentially, I've been thinking for a long time now that the motorcycles in the game, the three-man squads in Tunisia, they're a really neat concept, and they're not very popular, but they work alright in Tunisia. Part of that's because they give you flexibility, right? They let you zip out to a flank, you can throw down a spawn point there, you can equip them with submachine guns, you can give them rifles, you can change them from having bags to having two weapons. I used to run mine with a submachine gun and a rifle and use them as like a support troop. Um, But because of their three-man nature, and because the bike only really works with the open nature of Tunisia, I don't expect them to get a whole lot of use going forward after the merge. Now, you might be wondering, why are we looking at the Kachi, and why does this tank crew look an awful lot less like a tank crew and a lot more like an assault squad? Well, I think the Kachi will be the perfect way to show what I kind of would like to see as a new squad type in the game, and that is mechanized infantry. So, the Kachi, it is a 7-man tank, but the tank itself is not very good, and it would be a lot better if it had machine guns, but effectively what I've started using it for is an amphibious transport to shuttle this 7-man assault squad to the front. So, I mean, I could make them more nasty, I could give them mines, but as it stands, they have a variety of grenades, they have flasks, they have pistols, they have submachine guns. I like to give my squad Japanese leaders, katanas. But effectively, what this acts like is an amphibious transport. Think like an Amtrak if you've ever played the older Battlefield games, where you can take it to the front, you can cross water with it. It's got a cannon, so it can support you for a bit, getting you to the front. But then once you get there, you have a 7-man squad of fellas that are running around with 50-round SMGs that come pouring out. And to be honest, it actually has worked fairly well for me. Now, what I would actually like to see is a squad get added to the game called the mechanized infantry. They can be in the tech tree, they can come in as premiums, they can come in as event squads, but I think the main draw to it is that it allows you to put trucks and truck variations and half-tracks and APC variations in the game. There's a lot of different half-track variations that were produced throughout the war. Now, the core, just simplest idea that I have for it is a 6-man squad. They come with a half-track. The half-track has a single mounted machine gun on it. You could put like a 30 cal machine gun on there and that would be perfectly adequate. They spawn at the vehicle spawn at the back of the map. They use the same slot as the motorcycles. Now, I think there's a lot of different ways that you could go about it, and a few of my friends and I have kind of discussed it. I think 3 of them should just be assault troops, and then I think 3 of them should be flexible roles. I think that you could treat it a lot like the paratroopers, where you could go up to your vehicle and you could select which of a series of roles you want from it, but I think that also might cheapen the paratrooper role, and so I think a better way of handling it is you have 3 assaulters, and then you have 3 slots that you can choose before you go into battle what specialists they're going to be, so they can be engineers, radio operators, machine gunners, snipers, AT soldiers, mortarmen, whatever, right? You pick for those 3 roles, you'd only be able to have a maximum of 2 of each specialist. Obviously, you could replace them all with riflemen, too. if you really wanted to. But where you would get customization with the squad is in your upgrade tree, you'd be able to choose what you wanted your half-track's ability to be. So you would have a supply half-track where your teammates could go up to it and they could treat it like a resupply point and pick up ammo off of it. Or you can have a spawning half-track where it would act like a bigger, more destructible spawn beacon. Now, I don't think that would be very much of an issue because anybody with an explosive pack or a Panzerfaust can shoot this giant half-track and now your mobile spawn beacon is gone. And I think you could also balance it if that became an issue by making it so you can only spawn on it when it's stationary or when no one's in it. But I think it would be really interesting to bring in a new squad type like that. And I think that the motorcycle slot is so underused and undervalued right now. And there are so many different variations of trucks that are armed and unarmed, half-tracks that are armed and unarmed, whether they be with machine guns or flamethrowers or, dare I say, rocket artillery. There's a few wild German half-tracks that have, they're not the Nervenwerfer rockets, they're the bigger ones, like strapped to the sides. But there's a lot of variety in what you could do with the half-tracks. And then, depending on how Darkflow wanted to approach it, they could pre-lock different squad compositions to different ones. But I think it opens up a really interesting option, and I think they'd be far less oppressive than the paratroopers, because they can't just drop in anywhere. They have to take the time to drive in from the back of the map. They have the same drawback that spawning tanks does, in that if they get blown up in bad positions, they can start bogging down the map. But that also leads into the other thing. I think with more vehicles on the map, and this may come to pass just because there's going to be more human players, and human players are good at killing tanks, and human players like to spawn tanks, I think we're going to get a lot more vehicle debris and corpses scattered around the map, and as a side mechanic, I think we need a way to deal with that. Whether they bring in the tow cable feature from War Thunder where you can hook it up and pull it out of the way, or you let engineers walk up and take them apart, I think if you gave it the same duration of breaking a vehicle to breaking a tank trap, I think that would work really well. Or alternatively, they could make it so you can just blow them up and load them up with TNT and literally blow them up. I think the best solution is probably making it so engineers can take them apart. But I also think that if we brought in more vehicles than we already have, that's an issue that would have to be addressed sooner or later. But yeah, I'm interested to see what other people think. I think that they could be an incredibly fun and interesting squad. I think that there's a lot of precedent in history to have them, especially in the Second World War, but if the game ever moves up to the Cold War, the motor rifle divisions for the Soviet Union and the mechanized American forces post-war really took over. So yeah, I think it'd be very interesting. Let me know what you think.